Prince William has reportedly reached his breaking point when it comes to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's ongoing use of their royal status. According to multiple sources, including reports from OK! Magazine and the Daily Beast, William has confided in friends and insiders that he plans to strip the couple of their Her Royal Highness, Her Royal Highness, titles once he becomes king. For William, the issue is not just personal, it's about protecting the legacy and dignity of the monarchy. While King Charles appears to be turning a blind eye, William is preparing to take decisive action. The Prince of Wales believes Harry and Meghan have betrayed everything the royal family stands for, and he no longer wants them associated with the institution in any formal capacity. This isn't just about family tensions or private disagreements, it's now a matter of official state interest. The petition to remove Meghan's Duchess of Sussex title has landed directly in the House of Lords, the oldest continuous parliamentary body in the world. What began as whispers in Westminster has escalated into a constitutional confrontation. Lawmakers and peers from across party lines are rallying around a growing call to sever the Sussexes' formal ties to the crown. The argument is no longer symbolic, it's legislative. The petition points to specific, repeated breaches by Meghan and Harry, unauthorized appearances on the global stage, mockery of royal customs, and the monetization of noble titles. It accuses them of diminishing the sovereign dignity of roles that were never intended for commercial use. At the center of the controversy is Meghan Markle's recent conduct, most notably the couple's unofficial royal tour of Nigeria. Though framed as a private visit, the trip carried all the trappings of an official state engagement: traditional dress, ceremonial welcomes by high-ranking officials, public speeches invoking British heritage, and carefully staged photo ops. None of this was sanctioned by Buckingham Palace or cleared by the Foreign Office. That lack of coordination has created what government insiders are calling rogue diplomacy, something that poses a real risk to Britain's international relationships and undermines the monarchy's commitment to political neutrality. But Nigeria is only the latest in a series of events that have fueled outrage within both the government and public. Meghan's high-profile media appearances, including her comments at a Beyoncé concert and self-referential jokes on her podcast Archetypes, are being cited as further proof that she treats her royal title not as an honor but as a branding gimmick. These are not isolated incidents, critics argue, but part of a pattern, one in which Meghan uses the title of Duchess of Sussex to boost her personal brand while rejecting the responsibilities that traditionally come with royal status. This perception is reinforced by the couple's lucrative deals with Netflix and Spotify, which often prominently feature their royal titles. The House of Lords has taken particular issue with the branding of their 2022 Netflix docuseries, which opened with regal fonts reading The Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Their attempt to trademark Sussex Royal was only stopped when Queen Elizabeth herself intervened. And even after stepping down from royal duties, Meghan has continued to promote herself with titles in ways that blur the line between private enterprise and public duty. Prince William, according to palace insiders, sees this not just as a breach of protocol, but as a deliberate insult to the memory of Queen Elizabeth II and the values she upheld. He believes Meghan and Harry's behavior has not only embarrassed the family, but eroded public trust in the monarchy. The tension between the brothers has reportedly reached a point of no return, with William allegedly loathe and despising the Sussexes for what he views as a betrayal. The stakes are high. At issue is not just whether Meghan and Harry should retain their titles, but whether the monarchy can retain its relevance and integrity in the modern age. The royal family has always thrived on discretion, service, and symbolism. Meghan and Harry's public behavior, especially the Oprah interview, the Spare memoir, and various media ventures, has turned that model on its head. What was once sacred is now seen by many as a spectacle. This wave of frustration has spread beyond the royal family and into the corridors of British power. The House of Lords is not acting alone. Its petition reflects growing public sentiment, with recent polls showing a staggering 77% of the British public now favour stripping Meghan of her Duchess of Sussex title. Lawmakers argue that continuing to allow a private American citizen to trade on a noble British title undermines the entire honour system. And while the monarchy itself remains quiet, bound by protocol, Parliament is under no such restraint. The petition, spearheaded by crossbench peer Lord Simon Lee, is gaining bipartisan support. Its language is sharp and specific, accusing Meghan of exploiting a title that was never meant to be wielded for personal enrichment. This isn't about cancelling anyone or responding to public outrage, it's about restoring the sanctity of British titles that have existed for centuries. For Meghan and Harry, the consequences could be profound. If the petition passes, the Duchess of Sussex title may be permanently revoked, and their Her Royal Highness styles formally stripped. What began as a desire for freedom and autonomy may ultimately end in complete constitutional severance from the institution they once represented. And for Meghan, who once saw the royal title as a platform for global influence, that title may soon be nothing more than a historical footnote, erased not by scandal, but by statute. In recent months, the simmering tensions surrounding Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have escalated into a full-blown political and public relations storm within the United Kingdom. What began as whispers and rumours behind palace walls has now erupted into a fierce debate about the very nature of royal titles, duty, and public service. At the heart of this controversy is Meghan Markle's recent visit to Nigeria, a trip that, despite being portrayed as a private cultural visit, bore all the hallmarks of an official royal engagement. The repercussions of this unauthorised tour have sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace, Whitehall, and the British public, igniting calls for the Sussexes to be stripped of their royal titles. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's so-called private trip to Nigeria quickly transformed into what insiders describe as a full-scale royal tour, minus any official clearance or approval. The Sussexes were seen attending lavish dinners, receiving formal welcomes from high-ranking military officers, and participating in carefully orchestrated photo opportunities alongside generals and dignitaries. From the outside, the trip looked indistinguishable from any official royal visit. However, behind the scenes, the trip blindsided both Buckingham Palace and the UK Foreign Office. Government insiders have revealed that no one in the British government was informed or consulted beforehand. This lack of communication and coordination was perceived as a breach of protocol and a form of rogue diplomacy. The trip appeared to blur the lines between private citizens and working royals, threatening the Crown's long-standing tradition of political neutrality on the world stage. This unauthorized excursion came at a time when the royal family was already grappling with the fallout from Harry and Meghan's explosive Oprah Winfrey interview and subsequent Netflix series. For many within the British establishment and the public, the Nigeria trip was seen as the Sussexes continuing to behave like working royals despite having officially stepped away from royal duties. A May 2025 poll revealed the extent of public frustration. An overwhelming 77% of the British public now believes Meghan Markle should be stripped of her Duchess of Sussex title. This is not just a simple majority, it is a landslide, reflecting a dramatic shift in sentiment since Meghan's arrival in the UK years ago. Critics argue that Meghan Markle hated being a British royal, and her departure, commonly dubbed Megxit, was not just about privacy or family tension but an outright rejection of royal duty and tradition. Her exit was clouded by allegations of bullying palace staff and a subsequent investigation launched by the late Queen Elizabeth II herself. The scandal only deepened the divide between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family. Across the political spectrum, there is now an unusual moment of consensus. Royal titles are not mere fashion statements or status symbols to be flaunted at will. They carry weighty responsibilities, constitutional significance, and an expectation of public service. The honorific His or Her Royal Highness, Her Royal Highness, is reserved for senior, working royals who dedicate themselves to the crown and the people, something Meghan and Harry are widely seen as having abandoned. While much of the spotlight has fallen on Meghan Markle, Prince Harry is not immune from criticism. Recent surveys show that about 61% of the public also believe he should lose his royal titles. The crown jewels of their status, the Her Royal Highness titles, are being questioned for both Sussexes, reflecting a deep dissatisfaction with their conduct since stepping back from official roles. A central theme in the backlash against Meghan is her perceived prioritization of image and branding over genuine public service. Critics point to her public appearances and social media presence, highlighting a pattern focused more on self-promotion than charity or duty. One particularly glaring example occurred during Beyoncé's concert in Los Angeles, where a viral video captured Meghan laughing and shouting to the crowd, "You know I'm Sussex now." While this moment might have appeared light-hearted, members of the House of Lords saw it differently. It was interpreted as a blatant commercialization and trivialization of her royal title. Further fueling the fire, Meghan invited comedian Mindy Kaling on her podcast, where she joked about being called Meghan Sussex. To the British aristocracy and lawmakers, this was not harmless humour but evidence of Meghan treating a sovereign title like a branding gimmick, a punchline to be used for personal gain. Beyond public opinion, Meghan's actions may have triggered legal consequences. UK legal experts have cited the Royal Titles Act of 1917, which explicitly prohibits the commercial or performative use of royal titles. By leveraging her Duchess of Sussex title in branding and public appearances, Meghan may have violated these rules. This potential legal breach adds a new layer of seriousness to the ongoing political and public backlash. It signals that this controversy is no longer confined to tabloid gossip or royal family drama. It has escalated into a matter of parliamentary sovereignty and legal accountability. Central to much of the criticism is a perceived disrespect towards the late Queen Elizabeth II. While Meghan and Harry no longer hold working royal roles, many argue that the rules and respect owed to the monarchy endure beyond the Queen's passing. Critics emphasize that royal titles and traditions are meant to uphold the dignity of the crown, not be wielded as tools for personal branding or commercial advantage. For many Britons, Meghan's conduct represents a fundamental betrayal of these principles. In a rare move that underscores the gravity of the situation, the House of Lords has formally tabled a petition seeking to strip Meghan Markle of her Duchess of Sussex title permanently. This official parliamentary action reflects a growing impatience within the British establishment to draw a line under the Sussex saga. While King Charles has remained publicly silent and has yet to act, the political machinery is clearly in motion. The petition symbolizes the institutional rejection of Meghan's continued use of royal titles and signals that the days of the Sussexes enjoying royal privileges without duties may be numbered. Meghan Markle's controversial trip to Nigeria and subsequent public behavior have exposed deep fault lines within the British monarchy, public opinion, and even legal frameworks. What was once seen as a personal family matter has morphed into a national and political issue, challenging the very essence of what it means to hold a royal title in the modern world. For many, this is about more than just Meghan or Harry. It's about preserving centuries-old traditions of service, dignity, and constitutional responsibility that define the British royal family. As the House of Lords moves forward with its petition and public outrage continues to mount, the Sussexes may soon face a reckoning that could redefine their place in royal history forever. The titles held by Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are soon poised to become historical relics, designations that the institution of the British monarchy will formally take back. Since stepping away from their roles as working members of the royal family, the Sussexes have continued to use their royal titles, despite no longer fulfilling the duties and responsibilities that come with them. The message is clear and unequivocal: they are no longer entitled to those honours. While Meghan Markle's defenders are quick to frame this latest move as motivated by sexism or racism, the reality behind the petition to strip her of the Duchess of Sussex title is far more serious and deeply rooted in constitutional principles. This is not a tabloid-driven frenzy or the product of sensational headlines. The House of Lords operates on the foundation of precedent, centuries of carefully guarded royal protocol, and the rule of law. It is a body that governs with measured deliberation, not on popular sentiment or media pressure. Since marrying into the royal family, Meghan Markle has repeatedly demonstrated that she does not adhere to the traditions or expectations placed upon her. She has acted with apparent impunity, ignoring the consequences of her actions and the protocols she was expected to uphold. Now, the House of Lords petition is focusing directly on her use of the Duchess of Sussex title, with points 5 through 8 outlining some of the most serious allegations against her. One of the gravest accusations is Meghan's repeated violation of the Royal Communications Protocol, a centuries-old rule designed to prevent members of the royal family from making unauthorized public statements, particularly on foreign soil. This protocol exists to preserve the neutrality and dignity of the monarchy, safeguarding it from political entanglements and public controversy. Yet, Meghan has shown a blatant disregard for this protocol, disrespecting the institution and the rules she pledged to follow. Her podcast, Archetypes, was explicitly called out during the House of Lords debate. Meghan's content, messaging, and vast global platform are under intense scrutiny for potential misuse of her royal status on an international stage. In Archetypes, she repeatedly invoked her royal past to promote private projects, linking her time in the monarchy to personal branding ventures, a move critics say blurs the line between public duty and private enterprise. This institutional gaslighting, as some describe it, has been extraordinary and indicative of a deeper conflict. Meghan and Harry stepped away from their royal duties but sought to keep their titles, essentially wanting to have their royal cake and eat it too. They have exploited these titles to build lucrative careers in the United States, making millions from their Sussex brand while simultaneously disparaging the family and institution that once granted them their status. What truly ignited widespread backlash were Meghan's televised claims about how the royal family treated her child, her mental health struggles, and, most controversially, her bombshell accusation of racism within the royal household. Though the palace has maintained its trademark silence on these issues, Parliament is not bound by the same code. The House of Lords argues that Meghan's public statements, made while still bearing the Duchess of Sussex title, have caused diplomatic embarrassment and damaged the monarchy's standing across the Commonwealth. It is a critical distinction. She used a title conferred by the sovereign to launch personal grievances and attacks against the institution, actions the Lords view as a serious breach of trust and constitutional duty. The petition also condemns what it calls the blatant commercialization of a sovereign title. Meghan is accused of turning the Duchess of Sussex label into a marketing tool, rather than a symbol of public service and duty. Their multi-million-dollar deals with Spotify and Netflix were not simply storytelling ventures but business enterprises packaged under the powerful Sussex brand. Public appearances of their children, though sporadic, have been strategically timed to generate press and maintain public interest, contradicting claims of wanting to keep the children out of the spotlight. The 2022 Netflix documentary series famously opened with regal fonts proclaiming the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and frequently referred to Meghan by her royal title. These were not accidental slips but carefully crafted branding decisions. The couple even attempted to trademark Archewell and Sussex Royal as global brands. It took a direct intervention from Queen Elizabeth II to shut down any commercial use of the word royal, forcing Meghan and Harry to retreat, albeit reluctantly. The House of Lords has called this what it is, unauthorized commercial exploitation of noble status. Under British law, such exploitation could be not only inappropriate but grounds for the legislative removal of her royal titles. Meghan is accused of transforming what should be a noble heritage into a reality TV spectacle, eroding the dignity and integrity of British royal titles. Perhaps the most scathing criticism concerns Meghan's frequent press appearances, high-profile paparazzi incidents, and the infamous New York car chase, an event the NYPD later described as exaggerated. To the Lords, this is not innocent attention-seeking but part of a pattern of self-inflicted public spectacle, one that drags the dignity of the monarchy through the mud. While Meghan and Harry often portray themselves as victims of media intrusion, the Lords contend they deliberately maintain high visibility to remain front-page news. This ongoing behavior is seen as a breach of the expected decorum for those bearing royal titles. The petition draws stark comparisons with lesser-known royals like Princess Alexandra, who have served for decades with quiet dignity and low profiles, without podcasts, Netflix deals, or glamorous headlines. Their lives exemplify duty without fanfare, a clear message that royal titles are earned through service, not leveraged for fame or fortune. By continuing to use the Duchess of Sussex title, Meghan has blurred a critical boundary, the line between personal advocacy and official diplomatic representation. When a high-profile figure appears to speak on behalf of the Crown without informing Buckingham Palace or the Foreign Office, it risks international confusion and undermines the monarchy's role as a neutral head of state. Meghan's conduct, dressing like a working royal, attending multiple meetings in various outfits, has given the impression that she retains official status, despite having no such authorization. The Lords felt her behavior during the Nigeria tour, in particular, was inappropriate and damaging. Just a week ago, Meghan Markle was reportedly involved in a neighborhood dispute, an anecdote that underscores the stark contrast between her everyday life and the royal fantasy she seems to cling to. Parliament has had enough of watching from the sidelines. Meghan Markle's royal fantasy has collided headfirst with the realities of British constitutional law. In this court of peers and protocol, titles are not inherited fairy tales, they are privileges earned through service and can be revoked. The Lords' petition focuses heavily on the 2021 Oprah Winfrey interview, one of the most explosive moments in modern royal history. Meghan's allegations of racism within the royal family, though she declined to name names, sparked a global media firestorm, painting the monarchy as an outdated and oppressive institution. Crucially, she made these statements while still holding the Duchess of Sussex title, a gift bestowed by the sovereign that carries duty and responsibility, not immunity. Parliament views her actions as institutional sabotage, carried out under the protective shield of a peerage title. Though Harry and Meghan remain HRHs in name, they are not supposed to use those titles since becoming non-working royals and relocating to the United States. The Lords argue that Meghan's continued use of the Duchess of Sussex title by a private citizen living abroad undermines the dignity of the British honour system. Finally, the petition turns to the public, citing national polls and petitions that reveal widespread frustration. The continued use of royal titles by Meghan, who now lives in Montecito and stars in documentaries and walks red carpets with celebrities, is seen as a mockery of noble rank, Monéized and stripped of its ceremonial meaning. If the monarchy cannot protect the sanctity of its titles, it risks losing not just credibility but control. The House of Lords petition draws a hard line. Meghan may have built a global media empire on the back of the Duchess of Sussex title, but that foundation is now at risk of collapse. This is more than a royal reckoning, it is a constitutional eviction. What began as quiet frustration within Westminster has turned into a war cry. The petition aims to sever Meghan Markle from the last thread of royal prestige she clings to, not out of revenge, but to restore the honour and dignity of an institution that has weathered centuries of trials. Meghan and Harry sought freedom from palace life, away from duty, protocol, and tradition. The Crown granted it. But what followed was not privacy, it was profit, platforms, and a global rebrand built on royal titles. And that, the House of Lords declares, cannot stand.